I want to talk about 240 hertz OLED displays. They are coming out very soon, and how excited I am about that, and just in general my thoughts, how relevant that can be for you, and what I want out of those displays. So I'm also gonna be sharing my thoughts on that Corsair bendable display that is 240 hertz, and just in general. So I'm playing right now Cyberpunk here, and Cyberpunk is very demanding. You cannot get 240 frames per second on Cyberpunk. It doesn't matter if you buy the 4090, any CPU, it doesn't matter. You're not getting that level of performance, not only on Cyberpunk, you are not getting that performance on any new AAA releases. So if you are a competitive player, you play CSGO, which is an old, ugly game, not demanding at all, and or maybe you play Rocket League or something like that, yes, that's going to be relevant, 240 frames per second. But in my opinion, if you spend a lot of money, if you have a high-end gaming PC, you spend like, between the PC and the display, you're spending like $7,000 or more. So after spending that much money, I am expecting to play the latest and greatest. So you have to understand that you are not playing the latest and greatest titles at 240 frames per second. Just not gonna happen. So how relevant that screen can be? It can actually be very relevant if the manufacturers, they focus in motion interpolation and black frame insertion. So black frame insertion works flawlessly. It's amazing. But motion interpolation has input lag. So the problem is the input response. So because the frame, motion interpolation, what that is basically, what motion interpolation is basically, the TV creates frames that don't exist, okay? So for that to happen, there is a processing time. They need to develop faster algorithms and more powerful hardware to push that motion interpolation for gaming. And if they do that, and they focus on motion interpolation and black frame insertion, like for example giving you options to use black frame insertion at any refresh rates, or they can achieve the miracle of giving you a variable refresh rate with black frame insertion at the same time, that would be a miracle. If they do that, forget about motion interpolation. It will be just perfect. It will be amazing. But I think that's not even possible. So motion interpolation is going to be a must for that display, because you are not going to be able to get 240, but if you can get 60 and the display can create the rest of the frames, and then on top of that apply black frame insertion, you can get 480 motion clarity, 480 frames per second, like motion clarity. So what that means, when you move the camera, it looks like the game is playing at 480 frames per second. That is mind-blowing. So right now, for example, I'm playing Cyberpunk at 60, it's a lock 60, and I am using motion interpolation and black frame insertion at the same time on this LGC1, and the results are 240 frames per second motion clarity. This just looks amazing. It's just incredible. And there's no way you can get 240 frames with any PC on Cyberpunk. So this is a unique experience. This is an experience that is just unobtainable right now with the current hardware. So yeah, I'm taking a look into the future here right now. So that display, if it supports black frame insertion at different refresh rates, and it has a fast motion interpolation, it will be amazing. It will be amazing because you can get just a dream of motion clarity, but they are not focusing on that, unfortunately. So I saw some reviewers, I don't remember the names, so I don't want to mention names. This person was saying, oh, I asked Corsair, for example, with this new monitor, are you going to support black frame insertion? And Corsair was like, oh, we cannot tell you. we don't have that ready yet or something like that. So it looks like black frame insertion on that display, for example, that Corsair bendable ultra wide display, is going to be an afterthought, if any. Maybe it doesn't even come with black frame insertion, which is so sad, man. So sad. It's just stupid, because you cannot get that level of performance on games. So it is just, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So I mean, to get 240 to use black frame insertion is gonna be tough, but they need to support that, and they need to support that with motion interpolation. So my thoughts on that display specifically. That display is going to have a matte finish, okay? Because I'm talking about the Corsair bendable monitor. It's gonna have a matte finish instead of a glossy finish, and the reason is glass doesn't bend. So the problem with matte finishes is that you, if you have a little bit of light on your room, the blacks are not as deep. So the blacks can be a little bit washed out if you have some light on the room. So the contrast is affected, and the colors are not, they're not going to pop as much as a consequence. But if you're in a perfectly dark room, it's gonna be okay. But I'm not a big fan of matte finishes. I love the glossy finish, I love that. But that's a personal preference. What I don't like about that display specifically is the resolution. But it makes sense to have that 3840 by 1440 because if you're gonna try to push higher frame rates, you don't want to go crazy with the resolution, because otherwise it's just gonna be impossible, especially if they don't support motion interpolation and black frame insertion at the same time. So, but it's still a downgrade. So if you're coming from a C1 and then you get that display, you're downgrading the resolution. And if you want ultra wide on this LG C1, you can just create a custom resolution. Or there are some games that they allow you to change the aspect ratio, and you can just do 21 by 9 or even super ultra wide if you want. So it's going to be a downgrade on the pixel density for sure. The screen size is okay, and I definitely like that the display can be bent. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the curve, but I might give it a try. So my guess what's gonna happen with that display is that a lot of people are going to purchase that display, and they are going to adjust it the way they like it and just keep it like that. So the idea of bending the display every day depending on the game you're gonna play, or if you're going to do productivity or whatever, I don't think a lot of people are gonna do that. Most people are going to adjust the curvature to the point that they like, and probably just leave it like that. So it's not a gimmick. It is a very good idea to have that bendable. And for me, I would not buy a curved display, but I would definitely buy that if I can just have the curve for fun in a racing game or something, and then just keep it flat for most of my usage. So I definitely like that the display curves, but yeah, the price is probably gonna be like $1,500, or maybe they said the price is gonna be attractive, so minimum $1,300, I think. That's my guess. So LG displays, LG TVs are gonna be cheaper than that. So yes, it's bendable, but it has that matte finish that I'm not a big fan of, and it's less resolution. So yeah, it's 240 hertz, but if it doesn't support black frame insertion or motion interpolation, it's gonna have less features because it's not a TV anyway. So it has to be cheaper, or it has to be price competitive. Otherwise, it's not gonna make a lot of sense in my opinion. But I do think that 240 is gonna be very, 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 very good if they focus on motion interpolation and black frame insertion. That's it. That's what I want, because I love motion clarity, but I'm not gonna be able to push that frame rate on any AAA game. It doesn't matter what computer I have. So it's going to be irrelevant if I cannot push that frame rate. But if they help it with motion interpolation, it's gonna be great. So for example, 120 is possible in some games. So 120, the TV does motion interpolation, gives you another 120 frames, so you have 240, and then you can apply black frame insertion to that and get 480. I would like to see that. That's gonna look like a dream, and the input lag shouldn't be bad because that's a lot of frames. But they definitely need to focus. They would need to focus on motion interpolation. Maybe get NVIDIA would need to get involved to get the best results. Maybe get some AI things going on. But NVIDIA is not going to promote, hey, 60 frames is all you need. We're going to do interpolation and black frame insertion for you, and you're going to get good responsiveness, because what they want is to promote that you need 500 hertz, you need 500 frames per second, and frames win games. That's what NVIDIA wants to promote, and that's what is convenient for these companies. And that's not the best for you. The best for you is to need less and get more with less. So the best for you as a consumer is, all I need is 60 frames, it looks fluid, the motion clarity is perfect, the input lag is perfect. Like a CRT. You play on a CRT at 60 hertz, the input lag is none. There's no input lag. You move the camera and it looks better than this. Right now I am using black frame insertion and motion interpolation at the same time at 60 frames. I compared my CRT at 60 with this option, and the CRT has a better motion clarity. Okay? Of course, this is a higher resolution, it's a better picture quality. It's HDR. It has a lot of advantages. It's a huge screen, but retaining the resolution, the CRT is better, even at 60. So that's what we need. What we need is to get more with less, and that's not what these companies want. What these companies want is that you need more and more and more and more. But so you have to buy super expensive hardware to play games. So yeah, what I really want is to have 60 frames like this, look better and better each time, and feel more responsive each time. And I know it is possible, and I wish they focus on it. I wish I had some power to tell them, hey, forget about chasing more and more. Give me more with less. That just makes sense, but not for them. They care about money. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. I don't have that product to test it, but I understand based on the experience I have, and also knowing the requirements to play video games, so I can give you my opinion about that. But we will see. Maybe they will be fantastic, and I will get one for sure.